What happens to all of your assets if you are physically deported from the United States? So this is a question I've been receiving a lot lately, and people will ask me, what happens to all the money in my bank accounts? What happens to the home that I own? And I even had someone who has like a 30-year-old deportation order who fully owns their home outright in the United States. And what happens to my minor children if I'm deported from the United States? So let's take these one by one. First of all, what happens to your bank accounts? Nothing. Literally nothing happens to your bank accounts. You might be able to still access those accounts from outside of the United States. In fact, you should be able to access those accounts from the United States. Whether or not you need to be physically in person in the United States to change something with your bank, I don't know. It might be a good idea to designate a power of attorney so that someone has the legal right to make these decisions for you and sign on your behalf and transfer money on your behalf in the United States. So that's something I've been actually doing a lot of, is helping people prepare power of attorney documents in case there's an emergency and they need someone to help them because they themselves are physically outside of the United States. Another thing that's just a practical consideration, if you're at risk of deportation, it's really important for you to have a power of attorney because let's just go through a hypothetical. Let's say you leave your house at 5 a.m. and immigration detains you on your way to work, which is oftentimes how immigration detains people. They stake out their house, they wait outside. When they leave early in the morning to go to work, immigration detains them and brings them to a detention center and begins processing their paperwork. If they already have a deportation order, the timeline is accelerated and they begin to try to get their travel documents to effectuate their removal from the United States. Now, let's say you are physically detained at an ICE detention center, which is oftentimes just a local jail facility that's renting out space to ICE. From there, the first thing you should probably do if you have a defense available to you is to call an immigration attorney. But how are you going to call an attorney and pay them to represent you if you don't have access to any of your bank accounts? You might have a spouse or immediate family member who can help you, but it's something to consider. You might want to have a power of attorney or an emergency plan in place so that if you're detained, you can make a phone call and then your friend can call an attorney, hire them, and then you can begin to defend yourself in removal proceedings. Now, what happens to your home? What happens to all of your belongings? Nothing. Nothing happens to those things. You still own that property, even if you're physically outside of the United States. What happens to all of the things inside the home? You still own them. Unfortunately, you'll still have to make property tax payments as well. So again, very important to have a power of attorney designated before you physically leave the United States. Before you even have problems with immigration, just have a power of attorney document ready to go in case you actually need to use it. What happens to your kids if you're deported from the United States? This is a complicated one, and Tom Homan, Trump's new border czar, has a line where he says, no, we're not going to separate families. We'll deport you all together, as though he's doing this out of the kindness of his heart. In reality, I've been helping people prepare short-term guardianship documents so that if you have a minor child and you're detained while they are at school or something, let's say your child's a US citizen, so immigration can't target them, you have a friend or family member who can make temporary short-term decisions on your behalf for that child. That family member will eventually need to go to the local juvenile court. In New York, it's called a family court, to get a longer lasting guardianship order or possibly even a custody order, depending on their family relationship to the child. But there is no easy answer to this. I mean, as the parent, you have the right to bring the child with you to your home country, assuming the child is also a citizen of your home country, which can create complications with some countries. But the important thing to note is that if your child is a US citizen, immigration cannot force the child to leave the United States. Ultimately, it's going to be your decision as the parent, even if you're undocumented inside the United States. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. I just wanted to answer that question because I've been receiving it a lot. If you're interested in these topics, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I try to put out several videos a week on family-based immigration and naturalization. So if you're interested in those topics, be sure to subscribe. If you need any personal assistance with the immigration process, please go to my website and schedule a consultation directly with me, Pouyan Darian, an immigration attorney. You could also find the booking consultation link directly in the video description below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time for another video.